I'm Clint Kimball, and I've worked at raising funds with NGOs for about 12 years. In my work with organizations like yours, I've noticed something about all of them. And I mean all of them. All of them were looking for additional funding. This got me thinking, what other sources of funding were there out there? I asked myself. So I began to search, and I stumbled across crowdfunding, and this course was born. In the course, you will discover what crowdfunding is and how you can use it to create an additional stream of income for yourself. What you will know by the end of this course is you will know what crowdfunding is, and you'll have all the steps necessary to run a successful crowdfunding campaign. This knowledge will help you create another form of income for your organization. But wait, that's not all. What you get at the end of this, and here's the really exciting bit, at the end of this course, which is very practical, your crowdfunding campaign will be featured on ITL's website, which will aim to raise $1,000 for your project. In short, if you commit to this course, and let me tell you, it will be a commitment, and follow all the exercises, you will be able to potentially raise money from another source. And who in our line of work doesn't need to start raising additional money? I mean, we are in an absolutely unprecedented time where all other NGOs are reducing their operations, cutting their staff. So let's move on to what crowdfunding is. What is crowdfunding? And I think there are two key concepts here. The first concept is that crowdfunding is social. The second is that it is individual. It is social in that crowdfunding is a method of raising funds through the collective effort of friends, family, previous funders, and new funders, with the aim to tap into social networks and cast a wide net and to raise small amounts of money from large groups of people. It's social because a crowdfunding campaign doesn't aim to raise money only from a few large donor organizations, but instead aims to raise from a crowd of people. The crowd only gives small amounts, like we've said. The crowdfunders can also become future donors to your organization, should you keep in contact with them and communicate with them regularly. So we've learned that, number one, crowdfunding is social. So crowdfunding involves a crowd raising funds. It's communal in a sense, but crowdfunding is also individual, in that people who give, or the funder as we've called them, are not generally part of any organization or group. Instead, they are people acting individually. They may be spread out all over the world geographically, and they generally give small amounts of support. Crowdfunding campaign is another thing that we need to understand, a term that we will use extensively in this course. And it just simply refers to the method of raising funds. For example, you may have in the past written a fundraising proposal to a foundation or a fundraising organization. That proposal that you wrote is a method of fundraising. A crowdfunding campaign is therefore essentially a presentation to thousands of individuals located on a crowdfunding platform, helping them to learn more about your project launch. A crowdfunding campaign is hosted generally on a crowdfunding platform. It's a website that hosts your campaign. That's what a crowdfunding platform is. By the end of this 7-week training course, you should be able to launch your own crowdfunding campaign and manage it. And I'm really excited to see what all your campaigns turn out like. Who in our line of work could not use money a little bit extra? Dream with me for a moment here. Think of that project that you've always put on hold because you couldn't raise the funds for it. Think about that community that you've wanted to impact, but haven't been able to because you simply just haven't had the money. Or think of that group of people that you could reach if you just had that little bit of extra money. And in this section, we're going to look at what makes crowdfunding different from other methods of funding. In other words, what are the key things that make it stand out from other methods of funding? It's worth comparing it to writing a proposal for a foundation. Remember, they are both methods of fundraising. Think of a funnel. When you write your proposal to a foundation or a fundraising organization, your funnel is the correct way up, as you see it on this slide. All your efforts in research, writing, and distribution of that proposal are directed narrowly at one or two foundations or funders. All your efforts are directed to meet their normally very onerous requirements. In a crowdfunding campaign, your funnel is turned completely upside down. You're aiming your crowdfunding campaign at as wide a group of individuals as possible, wanting to make the most out of reaching that large group of individuals, taking advantage of the social and individual nature of crowdfunding by reaching this broad audience. So before we move on, the aim of the course is that at the end of it, you'd be able to do three things. Number one, conceptualize. Number two, provide the content for and manage a crowdfunding campaign. So conceptualizing is simply being able to come up with a project concept that fits a crowdfunding model. Crowdfunders generally are interested in people projects. They wouldn't necessarily fund you by buying you a truck. What they're interested in is a community that's going to be helped. For example, a well project, to dig a well so that a community can get 2 harvests instead of 1. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I'm talking about conceptualization. The content for a crowdfunding campaign looks different than for a general sort of fundraising proposal, in that you'll need to provide video and you'll need to tell the story, both in words and in pictures, but in a very condensed form. So you know those 20-page proposals you've sent out, throw those out the window. Here we're talking 1 or 2 pages. And thirdly, manage. You're going to need to manage your campaign. It's not enough to just have it uploaded onto the site and then just sit back and wait for the money to come in. That's not how it works. You're going to need to engage with the people that are looking at your campaign and get feedback from them and give them feedback as you go along. And remember, these people can be your supporters for life if you communicate well with them. So those 3 things, remember. So you're going to conceptualize a project, number 1. You're going to provide the content for that project, and you're going to manage that particular campaign. It's homework time, everybody. Yes, every week you'll have exercises to do. This is another unique feature of the training that we're trying to do. We're trying to make it as practical as possible. Each week you'll be asked to practice what you've learned. After you've finished your exercise, Renan and I will meet with you on Zoom to talk about how it went and to answer any of the questions you might have posted on YouTube. There will be a WhatsApp group which will help you to engage with each other for mutual learning's sake. This week, you'll need to make a video and upload it to Google Drive. Remember the 3 things that we're aiming at, the sort of aim of the course in total, that you'll be able to conceptualize, create the content for, and manage your very own crowdfunding campaign. This week, our focus is on conceptualization. Can you develop a crowdfunding project concept and explain that concept to a friend? So you're just going to make a short video, no more than a minute, and you don't even have to edit it or worry about the quality. The content of the video is simply you telling the story of your project to a friend. Now, it could be a COVID-19 project, it could be a feeding project, it could be a water project. You're just simply telling the story as you would to your best friend. You're telling him all about the project that you're seeking funding for. Secondly, please could you guys read chapter 1 and 3 of the book Crowd Fundamentals. After you've done the video and the reading on WhatsApp in the group, please comment on at least 2 of the ideas in Crowd Fundamentals that struck you. Also, discuss what was the most difficult part of making your video. Well, if you had to ask me what the most difficult part of making this video was, you'd probably laugh your head off if I told you. We'll see you again soon.